This week's episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by Eero. Whatever your Wi-Fi needs, Eero has the power to seamlessly blanket your entire home in fast, reliable Wi-Fi via Ethernet, wireless, or any combination of the two. Simply set it on a flat surface and plug it into a wall outlet to expand coverage into any room. Not to mention, with the addition of a third 5 gigahertz radio, the second generation Eero is now tri-band and twice as fast as its predecessor, which lets you do more in every room of your home simultaneously. And with the addition of a new thread radio, Eero can now connect to low power devices such as locks, doorbells, and other sensors. Meanwhile, the Eero Beacon is half the size, but even more powerful than the original model. Whichever model you choose, Eero's incredible customer support, you can call and get a hold of a Wi-Fi expert in about 30 seconds. I have Eero set up in my home, which lets me get Wi-Fi to the living room and all my entertainment devices like Nintendo Switch. For free overnight shipping to US or Canada, visit Eero.com, select overnight as the shipping option, and enter the offer code TEST, T-E-S-T, at checkout.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, December 21st, 2017, welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Hello and welcome to what may be the penultimate episode of This Is Only a Test this year. 2017, we're getting close to December 31st. Just one more week, just like 3 days until Christmas. I'm Norman. Joining me today, we have Jeremy Williams.
Hi, Norman.
And also, hey, look, it's my wife, Danica Chan.
Are we going to make this as weird as possible?
Oh, super weird.
Why is it gotta be weird?
I don't know. It always is.
You're on a Chan sandwich. You're the meat in the Chan sandwich, Jeremy.
I prefer to call it a sandwich.
Oh, boy.
Kishore has lost his entire voice. Maybe he got consumed by science. He is out of commission this week. So we have Danica joining us. And I want to start off.
Now, hold on. Because I'm your wife?
No, because we want to hear your opinions on many things that we're going to talk about. First of all, discussing what we all did, three of us, including those not even present in this room, did this past weekend. We hosted our annual White Elephant holiday party.
Now, I want to point out here, important fact, when most people think of White Elephant, they think of cheesy gifts. They think of obnoxiously silly, maybe lewd gifts that you bring and you exchange them. And they're
Really?
Yes.
They're supposed to be screw jobs.
So, like, if you search White Elephant gifts on the internet, you'll get an example of what I'm talking about.
I'm going to go even one step further back because some of you may not even know what the concept of a White Elephant party or Christmas exchange is. I think it was created for maybe office parties or as a replacement for the Secret Santa methodology of gift exchange, right? It makes no sense. We're not in grade school anymore. It's not about your birthday. You bring Valentine's Day cards for everyone or a cake for everyone.
Yeah.
You can't bring a gift for all 12 of your coworkers or whatever in your office. So the Secret Santa was created so that you would have to give one present to one person. And there are Secret Santa gift exchanges that span thousands of people, tens of thousands. On Reddit, they do it. Imgur, they do it.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Secret Santa because it's a little bit of a crapshoot. You are only really interacting with one person that they're exchanging to you and you exchange to them.
Right.
You don't get this connection to other people. And I love the White Elephant because it becomes an event in itself.
And chaos. Pure chaos.
Pure chaos.
A little
The
bit of
gift
competition
exchange.
involved.
Yeah. So everyone brings a gift to this party to participate. That's your admission ticket. You bring a wrapped gift.
And to follow up on my original point here, you impressed upon your guests that they should not bring a cheesy, cheap, lewd gift. They should bring something of quality.
That's the royal you, right? That's you, as in both me and Danica.
You, the host.
as you look straight at me, Jeremy Williams,
the hosts of the
Yes.
pod.
the host of the party. Yeah, because this has been, I believe, our 4th year hosting this party, and the Screwjob White Elephant gift does not work if the spectrum of gifts range from laugh, gag, Screwjob gift to an amazing gift.
Yeah.
Then feelings are hurt. We've heard some horror stories. I think if Kishore was here, he might even tell of a past horror story. Might have talked about this last year, where someone he knows was competing for Hamilton tickets in a White Elephant gift exchange. Now, I think that's going too far. I think to throw in the bomb of a $1,000 Broadway ticket or front row seats to a basketball game or something, that's
You're gonna stray far
Yeah.
away from the spirit of the thing.
and anyone who's seen the Office television show knows that's exactly what happened. They did a White Elephant gift exchange, and Michael Scott brought in. He wanted to impress upon everyone how impressive he was, and so he threw the chaos bomb into the party. So we set a strict, rough, approximate price range, right? $25 or equivalent value. But the point we wanted to have was to win a White Elephant party. It's not about walking away with the best gift.
No, I learned that from Charlie Brown's Christmas.
It's about feeling like you brought something that's going to delight someone, and whoever ends up with your gift is going to feel delighted by it. Now,
So if your gift is stolen, and your rules say that the gift can be stolen a maximum of 2 times.
maximum twice.
If it's stolen 2 times, I think you win.
Oh, the gift that you brought.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're a person and your gift was stolen and locked down first, it means your gift was coveted.
You got to feel good.
I felt really good.
It feels good.
It
does.
feels good. I
great.
believe Danica's and my gift. I brought a gift, and that was the first thing stolen. The
Yeah.
first thing locked down. Danica's gift was the second thing stolen. Second thing locked down.
And I feel good because my gift was stolen by 2 people who were both in this room.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then locked down.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting experiment. It's always a great, interesting social experiment. It's a great way to bring people together. We had 24 people participate in this exchange.
That's good.
More people even in the house, because some people came
Yeah,
as couples and
if
brought
you
one
don't
gift.
have to participate,
But
but it's nice if you do. It's more fun if you do.
I would say it was a 90% success. I think
Yeah.
90% of the people there got things that they were delighted by, and then there were a few clunkers out there. We're not going to name names.
But not nearly as bad as we've seen in the past,
No.
which is the upside of hosting something that happens every year with the same squad that gets bigger every year. But
The great debacle of 2012, in which
never again.
in which someone received a Twitter branded tote bag, I believe.
Ouch.
Was one White Elephant present, something like that's a tchotchke thing.
No, it was the worst thing was swag.
Yeah, free swag basically.
Free
you don't
bad
bring, you don't bring
swag.
free bad swag.
I happen to know someone brought free swag to your party.
Oh, I know, but it was good swag. I
No,
wanted
it-
that
yeah,
swag.
I
I wanted that porg. I really wanted that porg. I didn't get it. I ended up with a speak and spell that Jeremy brought. How did you decide to come up and bring a speak and spell?
Well, it wasn't
idea?
my original idea for a gift, but my original idea didn't ship in time, given that they had a whole week and it didn't make it. But so I was looking around and I thought, well, that's not bad, and it costs about $25 on eBay now.
Nice.
And I think it's an amazing toy from 1978
Yeah.
that has an incredible story behind it, and I delved into it, and I happened to have had one that I wasn't using anymore, and it seemed like it would make a good gift for
This
the
one
right person.
Even had the and I think it ended up with the right person.
absolutely the voice of childhood.
It had you 3D printed a battery cover for it even.
Yeah, and I included the batteries.
Nice.
Nice. I was just glad it didn't turn on like in the wrapping.
I apologize that you did not end up with the thing you wanted.
It's not about that. It's about giving and making sure
That is
making
true.
sure that your gift is successful.
And maybe
Yes.
doing a little bit of battle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the wrong song. Hold on.
We're not ready for
Hold
that
on.
yet. Jeremy,
Rewind.
We're not ready for that yet. Let's go back. Let's Inception back up. You get double music bumpers this week. All right, so we're jumping right into pop culture. Let's skip past too much chit chat because we gotta talk about Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Now, this is a film that Jeremy, you've seen twice already.
Yeah, you too, right? Or is it 3 now?
No. We're gonna watch it tonight.
Okay.
And we had some of you teased your impressions last week.
Wait, how
'cause-
many times have you seen it?
Twice.
Okay, twice.
You teased your impressions
Yeah.
because last week you saw it ahead of the screening, ahead of the release date at a press screening.
Yeah.
And I walking out of that podcast, I didn't know what you thought. I couldn't tell what you thought. So let's put it on the line right now. What did you think of The Last Jedi?
Are we avoiding spoilers for the time being?
Let's avoid spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy most people disagree with me, and that's clear that they do. But I was not happy with the film. I was on board. I was excited for it. I was engaged right up until like a third into it.
Like with a twist? Were you disengaged by a twist, or
I mean, it's hard to not go into spoiler territory. But yeah, I was one of the original characters did something that I thought wasn't something that really should exist in that world.
have you gone on to sign any petitions online?
No, and I feel for those people because there is something about our relationship with Star Wars that is more sacred than maybe like a Marvel fan's relationship with a Marvel comic.
I think that holding that relationship sacred
Yeah.
is exactly what this film wants you not to do.
Yeah, and it's all about destroying the past and creating something new.
in many all the ways.
Fine, but that doesn't mean it's right. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, but my problem is not about that. It is about the consistency of this universe that a lot of us know a lot about and feel strongly about. And for example, like what's possible with the Force.
What's possible with the Force in a fantasy universe? This is an interesting point because it's a fantasy movie, and I know
Interesting.
it opens with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Why don't you expound on why does that make it the rules more locked down for you?
When I watch like a Marvel film, I think of it as a different universe, parallel, something else that is not the same continuum as ours. But I think of Star Wars as supposed to be our universe. It's just as you said, far away and a long time ago. And so I feel like the realities, the physics, the things that are possible. There's something about Star Wars that always seemed like they're just somehow evolved differently, or something like if we could tap into what it is that Jedi's tap into, we as humans could
And you got that from the
could touch
OT,
that power
from the original trilogy.
Yes, very much so, because it's all about inference. It's all about like a using your mind when you have a vision of the future or other people. It's murky. And it's unclear, and it seems like that's something we've all sort of gotten a hint of, right? You know what I mean? Like you felt that way.
I mean, I think you're talking about in A New Hope how one of the origins of the idea of the Force was, Zen Buddhism, and the feeling of connection with nature and the world around you, and how that connection manifests itself.
Obi-Wan calls it a force created by all living things.
Yep. Right.
It surrounds us. It penetrates us.
So how does that go from that feeling, which I get why that can feel relatable, if
Exactly.
not a direct believing that it's real, and maybe as a child, if you watch it when you're 10 years old, you can very much feel like that is something that can be real. But then you go from that to lightsabers,
I'm not
and
saying, no, dude.
and faster than light travel.
You misunderstand me.
and-
I don't think that it's real. I don't.
It sure sounds like you do.
I don't.
And my question is more of, is the derailment as bad as, say, midichlorians? Like, does it break your heart more than that?
It's sort of same ballpark for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the midichlorians was a weird way to make it scientific.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
so Rian Johnson addresses some of these things, and we're going to try to skirt
Yeah.
around the details. I don't think it's worth diving too much into deep spoiler talk, but suffice to say, some things are done with characters and the Force, right, which is what we're talking about, in The Last Jedi that was not seen in previous films. And it sounds like some of the things you thought that broke the believability of the connection of what the thesis of the Force, right? Let's say,
Fine.
is broken, and how relatable we can feel as viewers to those concepts with the actions that they do with this film. And Rian Johnson comes out and says, the Force is an evolving thing in storytelling because, for example, the Force pull, the Force telekinesis ability of the Force wasn't even a thing until Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
right? In the first film, it was just a feeling that you would have.
Yeah.
It was just some type of feeling. And then the whole lifting rocks aspect of the Force wasn't even around till the second movie.
Right.
The whole
Same with
being
ghosts.
a ghost, right? Wasn't even around till the third movie. And lightning bolts out of the Emperor's hands, right? So why can't, I mean, were those breaking the Force back then?
Well, like we've always had ghosts, right? Like in mythology and popular mythology, do ghosts exist? There's whole TV shows about do ghosts exist right now. That's a thing that is something that we have in our popular imaginations.
So it's tough for us to talk about this without
Telekinesis, also something.
No.
No. I'm not saying it's real, but I'm saying it exists in our popular conscience. That it is a thing that people think about. Like when you're a kid and you hear about this, you hear on our planet.
Yeah.
Like you imagine, okay, then maybe someone's tapped into the other half of their brain or the 90% that we're not using, and they can actually move things. Like it's a thing that exists in our popular conscience.
And guess what? How do those things come to popular consciousness? Because someone came up with the idea.
But it was pre-existing. It's like it's just a part of of being human.
I can't wrap my head around.
It sounds like the introduction of whatever it is just felt like hokey.
The new
to
stuff?
you?
The
Like
new
yeah,
stuff?
like
It
it
just
tonally
felt
didn't fit.
Superhero stuff. I mean, it was like if you take like Superman, and suddenly because Ryan Johnson's excuse for this is that it serves the story.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I'm writing a story, and I say, well, now Superman can teleport because it serves the story. Are you okay with that? By the way, he could always teleport. It was always a possibility. He just never did it. It's just far-fetched in the scope of this fiction.
So in terms of the Superman analogy, the reason that feels not right is because as powerful as of being able to fly and be able to shoot laser beams from his eyes.
Yeah.
Right, Superman is also, his powers also evolved. Like he originally couldn't fly, right? And now we associate flying with Superman. Originally he was just leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Yeah.
Many of Superman's powers were he has electricity powers now that he never had before. That has changed over time, but.
And he didn't murder.
And he didn't break people's necks.
mean-
and that has also changed over time. But the reason it feels wrong when you sound like that is one, I don't know what the story it is where like that teleportation would make sense.
Yeah.
But if it did make sense, I would be okay with it. But the limitations of a superpower are helpful in balancing out like what that superpower is, right? As long as there are the rules.
Fine.
And so you're saying that the what they did with the Force makes it too powerful.
I believe so.
Too powerful.
I believe so. It,
Okay.
it breaks it out from something that we've all can imagine being possibly real on some level of our imaginations to just being just magic. And I didn't like that. And I felt like it just didn't respect.
You don't think they can come back from it?
Like sometimes working within restrictions makes you a better artist. And I feel like they just wrote it in because it made the story easier to write or something like that, or they thought it would be interesting to write something completely new. Now that's one problem I have with the movie. The other problems are just like I just felt like it was overly manufactured. All the dramatic moments didn't hit me. They didn't strike me in the way that they were edited to. Like I felt like the first amazing action scene, very cool, but it just it was ends in this traumatic moment, this traumatic moment. And it was edited slow motion and big music, and it was just like cut, and it was supposed to make me feel something that it didn't. And a lot of the scenes that have that dramatic rise, they just felt manufactured that way, but not directed in a sensitive way.
It's so funny because for all the many complaints, and there are people we allude to signing petitions right now to try to wipe this movie from canon.
They did the same thing with the prequels.
Yep. So many of the complaints, whereas the prequels, I think the complaints narrowed down to specific things.
Yeah.
Jar Jar, the romance, midichlorians. Here, I see like even just 1 week after release, the complaints for Last Jedi come from all directions. Come from portrayals of characters, portrayals of the Force, B plots, dramatic moments, CG, humor, all these things.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's this one thing people are rallying against. Danica, what did you think about the film?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun to watch. My beef with it tends to be more stylistic. I felt, without spoilers, any human floating that happened looked so horrible and really hokey.
Yeah.
That I wanted to giggle, so I couldn't take it seriously. and I had some character design issues.
Which character specifically, or which characters?
Laura Dern, Holdo. I felt like they were like I enjoy the quirk that's added into this film. I like that it's funny. I like that it has more nuance. But her character design I found so jarring in such a bad way. It was like they were reaching for something, and I kind of understood what they were reaching for. They did not get to it.
Do you mean you don't mean her costume?
Her costume, her hair, her
The whole
weird
thing.
Easter egg Gatsby hairdo, all of it, the Effie trinketness of it. I feel like it just didn't work at all, and I found it really distracting. But I was just looking through this Art of Star Wars book, and the concept art for her is fantastic.
So just the execution didn't fulfill the what was drawn on paper.
I didn't mind her costume so much as her character. Like I didn't like that she had this secretive aspect to her that I didn't understand strategically why that worked.
Yeah.
And just her relationship with Leia came out of nowhere. Like they're suddenly very close.
Yeah.
Like we don't know who she is. It was odd.
It was played somewhat unnecessarily secretive.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
is she or isn't she bad?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You know-
is she the thing that it's being,
Right. Unnecessarily.
yeah.
One of the things that I found, just in watching the film, that was jarring to me in both that character and also Benicio del Toro's characters, unlike a Marvel film where there are so many characters and so much casting association, like big names become big characters. You know, Scarlett Johansson is Black Widow, but she was a star in her own right beforehand, and it's okay to reconcile that. When Star Wars, it feels a little weird. It's like I'm looking back and thinking about, was it weird to see Sam Jackson be Sam Jackson essentially in a Star Wars movie? And in The Force Awakens, we had basically all newcomers. Right, we had the old guard, which they were newcomers relatively in original trilogy, right? And we had newcomers in The Force Awakens, and now we see a film with established actors in the Star Wars universe, right? Even Rogue One was basically all relative newcomers. You know, the people had done films before, but they weren't the big blockbuster A-listers. So to see a Laura Dern and to see a Benicio del Toro in a Star Wars movie. Felt a little weird, even though I know we've had Sam Jackson in one, and I still think that's maybe that goes to how believable you want this universe to be on its own.
Alec Guinness was a big star in the first one, but he was as big as it got.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how much more do you want to talk about Star Wars. How about
I have one theory I want to share
Okay.
for everyone who's on my page who thinks this film didn't work out. Maybe the great strategy here is he's trying, as Ryan Johnson or maybe Kathleen Kennedy, people involved at the helm here, are trying to bring balance to the Star Wars series,
what does that even mean?
right? So you have the original trilogy, which are great. And
Oh,
then you have the
no.
prequels, which are bad, and on the
No.
others, but they go bad in descending order, I believe. Right, the worst, the okay, and then the least bad.
I think it's the middle and then the worst, and then
Yeah,
a
and now
bounce
on
back.
this side, it goes in ascending order, and so right in the middle. What's the best film? Everyone thinks the best Star Wars film ever
Is
made.
Empire.
Right in the middle.
is right in the middle.
Yeah, of the
so
scale.
so you think this is going to be the worst of the new trilogy?
I think the next one will be even worse than.
You
than
think
this.
so?
Oh wow!
So did you like this one more than
7?
Force Awakens?
You know, I'm kind of the same on them.
Because honestly, I found them to be very different.
I guess a lot of people. I don't know. I think I like this one less. Than
Interesting.
The Force Awakens.
Wow.
And the Force Awakens, I was put off by some other things like Harrison's acting. I didn't feel like he was invested in Han
Yeah.
Solo anymore.
He's also sort of a shitty actor. I mean, did you rewatch Blade Runner recently?
Yeah.
I had forgotten how bad of an actor he really can be.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I just felt like in all the other Star Wars films, I believed he was into the character. I think he made a good Han Solo. I just didn't feel like he was in it, and knowing he's not, doesn't help much.
You can't say that about Luke though. Luke was Luke.
Yeah.
No, I like Luke, but Luke hates this Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill hates this film. He hates the last one. He doesn't like anything that they've done with Luke Skywalker.
But he played it well.
Yes,
He played it
Yeah.
well.
That's true.
Professional.
He
Yes.
did. He did well. And
Although I will say that killing off Han Solo, even though it upset a lot of people, it opened the door, I think, for a renewal in a different direction. Like the whole this movie is all about killing off the past, and in that way I'm really glad that he's dead, because it allowed to pivot away from the same story feeling over and over like it's being told again. The way that Force Awakens feels like a fan film, when you start killing off more of those characters, you've got to get more creative and go for a different story. And it's time for that.
There are definitely parallels in this trilogy with the original trilogy, right? Everyone says the Force Awakens very clearly has many moments structurally, thematically as homage to A New Hope, modernized, of course. And I think this film has many similarities, I think, to Empire, especially the way it ends. I think
it has just as many to Jedi,
and also to Jedi. And in addition to that, has its own thematic elements that we've never seen in a Star Wars movie, and I like that a lot.
Okay.
I will say one more point about this. I like how murky light and dark is. Like how subject to interpretation or environment. I like that it's not so binary.
I like that there's the potential for an interesting story there. I
Yeah.
just don't feel like one's been told yet.
Yeah.
That's J.J. Abrams' job coming in for the next film. I am so excited for Rian Johnson owns his own trilogy of Star Wars films. Those can't come fast enough. I know that J.J. Abrams stuff, that's a machine that's going to keep on rolling. It's going to, I feel like he can stick the landing.
Do you like Episode 8 more than Looper? This is another one of Rian Johnson's films.
You know what? I said this on Still Untitled. I think Episode 8 is most akin, and Looper is not my favorite Rian Johnson film.
Oh, you
Brothers Bloom is my favorite Rian Johnson
I haven't seen
film.
that.
It's spectacular.
And I think this film, Last Jedi, is more akin to Brothers Bloom than to Looper, even though Looper is a science fiction film. And I like Looper. I don't love Looper. I think there are great ideas in Looper. But I like Brothers Bloom more because I think it has way more emotional impact for me.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I will watch it.
Yeah. You're in for a treat. And maybe it might even change your opinion about Last Jedi.
Oh,
Who
you
knows?
think? Like, really?
I think you might better understand what type of director he is and what type of stories he likes to tell.
Okay.
I say watch Brothers Bloom and then rewatch Last Jedi.
Great.
If you can bear it.
But he should be appreciated for giving us our first sex scene in a Star Wars movie.
Spoilers.
I regret nothing.
If you're not interested in watching Last Jedi, you could also just watch the original trilogy. And the original trilogy is now, or may soon be, the best version you can find it ever at. It's not just Harmy's despecialized edition. We may see a 4K version, maybe.
Yeah. So Harmy's, as we've discussed on previous podcasts, is based on several different versions of the original Star Wars films.
Yeah.
Right. So they had a Laserdisc, DVD, probably VHS, but then also some original 4K, not 4K, but film scans. But it was all mastered at 1080p, I want to say. But, very high bit rate. It's the de facto version. If you want the original version, not the special edition, that's the one to watch, or at least it has been so far. Well, someone's come back with unique access.
What does that even mean? So the story is that the original negatives are gone for Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Like you can't re-edit the film because the original negatives. So what's the only thing that's left is
Our prints. But all the prints were recalled.
Yes. So
Right.
and this is the prints that they made for distribution when the film came out in 1977. But so you have second generation, and prints can be remade. So is this a second generation print, a third generation print? Just because it's in 35 mil doesn't mean necessarily.
Could be first. I mean, like, people held on to them secretly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way that
Yeah.
everyone just freely surrendered them.
Yeah.
No way. No way.
It's interesting. So somebody's remastering it in 4K, little
4K.
little by little.
So like doing a scan
Yeah.
of a 35, they have a scanning machine, and doing the cleanup work
All at 4K.
all in 4K. Now, is this a moot point? Because I assume Fox/Lucasfilm has a version, and one of the reasons we haven't seen a Blu-ray 4K release is because of rights distributions. 20th Century Fox Home Video Entertainment owned the rights to distribute the original trilogy, and now that's all in the Disney family. So all this hard work could be for naught, because
Wait a minute.
Disney in 2 years could just say, here's your 4K UHD version of Star Wars: A New Hope.
Lucas didn't own the rights
For
to
distribution.
Star Wars?
No.
Wait a minute. You're saying that when Lucas was sold to Disney, ever since then, Disney's never even been able to consider a remastering of the original trilogy?
Correct.
I had no idea.
20th Century Fox.
Wow.
Home Entertainment. Yeah.
So Disney just owned the merchandising for that?
They own the brand,
Yeah.
and they own all the new IP,
But the original
and the
films-
merch, the original film distribution
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Crazy.
internationally, Fox.
Well,
That's why you want to pay $52 million to buy Fox. $billion to buy Fox. What a steal! 52 mil.
I mean, that would be a great way to placate people like me if they wanted,
I think the journey is the most important thing. Like both Star Trek and Star Wars have these fascinating journeys of like seeing the best version, right? And at some point, we're going to reach a point where once we get 8K TVs, the limit of the fidelity you can get out of a 35 millimeter film is going to be reached, right? You're never going to see, at some point, you're actually going to see it better than what most people saw it at in 1977 because you're going to have the best projector, best display system. But you want to see that original negative. And Star Wars has this interesting story because there are no negatives, because there are rare prints to be found, because there's so many different versions of it. And Star Trek has its own interesting story, at least Next Generation, because everything was edited on video and it wasn't film, and then they did a whole remaster series. So, I think the journey, just like in prop publication, in media archiving, we're getting to a point where we're going to get the definitive editions, hopefully, cross our fingers, and never have to buy another disc version of these,
because the difference between 4K and 8K, come on, minuscule.
unless you shot in 70 mil, which they didn't. They didn't shoot in 70 mil. So.
When they remastered in VR,
Oh boy.
I'm on board.
VR 3D? Nope,
Right.
nope. I mean, at that point, it's not going to be a remaster.
It'll be a rendering.
Yeah. It'll just be just drag and drop the footage into a player.
No, I don't mean 2D. I don't mean like in a TV.
You mean Ready Player One?
Yes.
You mean
exactly.
you mean surrounding you
Precisely.
in the scene. The director's intent.
Can I do a little tangent here, because
You
we
may.
so rarely get to have a female on the podcast.
Which I am.
Did you grow up liking Star Wars?
You're loving it.
Okay, because I think it has a reputation for being more appealing to boys. Like maybe the merchandising was more for boys, but
The stereotype, yeah.
yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Do you think that having Rey as the star of the film, and also what was her name in Rogue One?
Jyn Erso.
Jyn Erso. Do you think that is bringing more girls into the franchise? As
Absolutely.
fans?
Representation is really, really important. And having like these badass characters, the same way that I had Princess Leia,
Yeah.
having something to look at and to be interested in. Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause I was reviewing movies from my childhood that I wanted to share with my daughter, and it's so much harder than finding ones to share with my
Oh,
son.
absolutely.
Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Gremlins, Star Wars. They all have male leads. Mm-hmm. They were directed by males. They were for males, and I would love to have movies more like Star Wars Episode 7, 8, and anything more with females at the helm.
There really isn't a lot, which is why the people tend to love things so intensely. Like I've been obsessed deeply with Wonder Woman my entire life because that was a strong female character. Same thing with Leia, same thing with Uhura. Like when you have something that you can actually identify with or want to aspire to, having some sort of role model, like it makes a big impression. And when you're a female or a minority and you have fewer options, they mean even more. So yeah, having more female leads is absolutely important.
Leads and even stronger supporting cast. I think that,
Yeah.
again, without going too much into the details,
Yeah.
a lot of new characters in Last Jedi are great.
Which isn't to say that I don't enjoy male performers and male-driven stories, and I'm predispositioned towards sci-fi, so of course I have to.
Likewise.
But
I think that these recent Star Wars films prove that males will enjoy female performances as
Yeah.
well. So there's no reason not to. I would love to see more role models for my daughter.
Where did you watch the Last Jedi the second time, Jeremy?
It was in not IMAX. It was on Metreon, but not IMAX.
It's a regular
Yeah.
show. How many minutes of trailers did you get?
Oh, it was too many.
Too many.
Whatever, like 25 minutes.
Oh my goodness. I would have sat through 22 minutes of Frozen, the short film, rather than trailers. Are trailers really essential these days in theaters? Are people not just watching them on their phones and online?
I don't know. I like them. I enjoy trailers.
How
the
many
thing I
trailers
hate
is
are all
too
the
much?
commercials ahead of the trailers and all the other crap.
Yes.
That's obnoxious to
Well,
me.
with reserved seats, I guess you should book. You could come in 10 minutes past the screening time and still be totally okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think trailers are their own art, and I'm into it.
Yeah,
I
me too.
will say, and I don't think I mentioned this on Still Untitled, not having seen the trailers for Last Jedi, and then going in relatively cold to watch it made the experience so much better for me. I was not doing the thing where I was picking out scenes and waiting for certain scenes to happen
Right.
that had been just glimpses in the trailer.
And I watched trailers and I regret nothing.
Hmm.
Because what got me most excited about this one, as much as like we're talking about strong female leads and all that, like Adam Driver is an absolute force of nature, and everything that was teased in the trailers, though I didn't find it to be, it wasn't telling me everything, but it was making me interested and excited to see the film, which
I
is a
think-
nice feeling.
I think you two are disagreeing there.
Oh well, I would about Adam Driver. I don't know. I think this is probably his better film. I just felt like in Force Awakens he was a little too emo for me,
Yeah.
and that not like he wasn't here. And it's hard not to go into spoilers.
But can you imagine if Hayden Christensen played Anakin in any way close to how he's playing?
Oh, he's better than that.
I mean, he is amazing.
But I understand Hayden Christensen is actually a good actor. He just
I don't
was.
think that's true.
I've heard that Star Wars isn't his worst film, or the series, like the second two. But I guess I don't know what it's like to act against a green screen. It seems difficult, but whatever.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
don't know.
I'm not going to talk about this trailer because I don't think it's actually that worth discussing. There's a trailer for a film, Mortal Engines, that I think is kind of it's kind of interesting. Peter Jackson wrote it, and it's a big what if film.
Oh yeah, this was one of the trailers in front of Star Wars.
Yeah, this is a. Don't want to go too much into it, but I think it's a novel concept. Mad Max with cities. It's one I would recommend.
Oh yeah, I mean just for a CG
Yeah.
extravaganza.
Yeah. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas had some big predictions about the film industry recently,
Oh my.
and we have a dog barking outside.
Did you read this? This is interesting.
Yeah, what did they say?
So they were, I guess they were doing a talk somewhere. I don't remember, but how cool would that be to have Spielberg and Lucas on the stage, especially right around now? But they started to talk about the future of the film industry, and it just seemed like this wasn't even the major topic of conversation, but it came up, and they both completely agreed that movie theaters were. This is the death knell. That they will be going away. At least the large scale, movie theaters on, in every city and several places, that's going away. That going to movies very soon will become an event like going onto a Broadway show. It might cost you $100 to go see a film, It might cost you $150. And there will be tiers, and it will be a major event, and you'll wear nice clothes, and you'll probably eat well. And
That's what they think is going to happen.
that's what they think. But the movie theaters won't be the movie theaters we have today. Like they will be ornate, majestic places that you'll go
Wow.
in and experience this event. Whereas this movement towards watching at home will become more and more day and date with releases.
So I don't disagree with the watching at home
Yeah.
day and date part, but I absolutely do not believe that the answer to that and what people are going to move toward is the dress up and go to an ornate theater to watch a 2-hour film.
Yeah.
I think that's feeling a little out of touch with what the kids are going to want to do these days.
Yeah. And going to see a movie it is such an experience. I don't know. I don't see that lessening, even if you've got, because you'll never have a TV at home as big as what you can see.
Yeah.
And you'll never have a sound system as amazing. And,
According to them, it won't be a choice. Like it's not. They're not saying that movie theaters will go away because by design. They're saying that they'll go away because movies cost too much to make now. That they're costing $250 million.
Right.
And there's going to be, at some point, a series of failures that will be so catastrophic that it won't make this feasible anymore.
I mean, Netflix is kind of changing up on that, and they're big experiments. They've done a handful of self-funded films, which are supposed to be otherwise would have been films that would have been on the big screen. War Machine with Brad Pitt and upcoming movie with Will Smith, Bright. These are films with big-time directors, big-time stars that would have, if given the right marketing and given distribution, would have been event films to watch in theaters and made tens of millions, if not $100 million at the box office. Now, because those films are quote unquote just on Netflix, I don't want to say that dismissively because these films can be great. Does the perception of these films change? Do they become less of an event, a social event, a pop culture shared experience because anyone can watch it anytime? Are people going to want to flip on that movie? You know, if 10 million people would have watched it in theaters opening weekend, would 10 million Netflix subscribers in that weekend have turned it on to watch Bright? Or does that diminish
I mean, it does
the
kind of
feeling the
feel
film?
like straight to DVD to some degree, rather than like wide theatrical release.
And part of it's marketing.
With television, it's different. When you can drop a whole series and binge it, like that's an event, that's a thing. But I don't know, film doesn't have that same cachet yet.
Spielberg said that Lincoln was very nearly released on HBO, like nearly purchased and
So maybe it's the
produced by
film.
HBO.
Like, if let's go back. If a Star Wars, if one of let's say not one of the Star Wars stories, the Han Solo, the Rogue One, right? If there was a Star Wars universe film that was funded by Disney and they did their own launch of their streaming service, and they said this would be day and date released on their streaming service only at $10 a month, you do your $10 sign up, you get that movie on that release date. That would I still feel like would be a big event. As big as the movie being in theaters. I don't think I think sitting in theaters gives it a certain feel.
Yeah.
But
home theaters are becoming more and more like that.
yeah,
Yeah, but when you're talking like that, it feels more like a gimmick. Like what they're done with the with Star Trek Discovery, there's a gimmick. It doesn't feel.
And those shows, the House of Cards, Westworld, Star Trek Discovery, these are $100 million shows. Yeah, they're spread over 10 hours, but the same amount of money is being put into this kind of programming as you would put on a film. But at the same time, there are films that cost $10 million, $15 million that would otherwise feel like home video releases if they weren't put on the big screen, but because they're on the big screen, there's a feeling of importance to them, like like a movie like Lady Bird or even The Shape of Water, right? Like these feel like events and feel like they deserve, like they earn the right to be on the big screen, even though it's just purely a business deal, a handshake that gave them the distribution to be on the big screen.
It seems like those would suffer more in this dystopian future of fanciness that you're describing, Jeremy.
Imagine if the films didn't cost $250 million, but they cost twice that, or $1 billion. Like you'd go to see that. You'd pay $100 maybe to go see that.
Well,
You think so? You think that's like the reason to go to a theater, like knowing how much investment and how much was put into a film? I don't think people go to Broadway because of that.
I'm not saying that they would go because there was money invested. I'm saying they would go because whatever that investment results in creates a buzz and creates, this. You would hope that it creates an experience that you've never seen before. And once the reviews got out that is indeed what it is, you'd be curious about it. Maybe there's other sensory input. Maybe it's like, not just the chairs rumble, but there's more involved to it. I don't know.
there's haptic suits and
Yes. Smells.
Live
they
readings.
did smell-o-vision in like the 70s.
You know what I could actually see happening is, like, if you think about why people go to Broadway, for example, it's because it is a live performance. It is like there's a scarcity in the performance, right? It's people's times, people's acting. There's a tension in the live execution of it.
Yeah, it's always unique.
Every performance, no matter how rehearsed, is going to be a little different. And there's also the fidelity. You're never going to get as high fidelity as seeing a person sing or dance on the stage. You can't obviously do that for film, but there is an aspect of film you can do that, which is music.
Oh, yes,
So-
live orchestration.
That may
Yeah.
be the bridge where...
But that's already something that's been done for years. Is to
Right, but maybe that's
And was
how
done
films will evolve.
Originally, like with silent films.
Where if you're talking about if it's the Broadway experience, right? If they're, because you can't make the flat screen. You can have the best 8K projector, HDR projector, 16K projector, whatever it is going to be in the future. It's still going to be a 2D image on a flat big screen, IMAX size screen or whatever it is. But the only way you can enhance that with the scarcity of the performance is you can also bring in a live performance aspect to it, the live music.
I love that idea.
That would put me
and they do that, and that is a special event. You pay more for that.
right, but they don't do that for first releases.
Right.
So if you have a name like a John Williams or Michael Giacchino and say they work their ass off on this score, review the score as much as you review the film. The film is going to be its blockbuster thing, but you could see them, a world-class orchestra, play it live along with the film on the first day of release and hear the instruments. you're not going to get that in the home theater experience.
I'm with you.
But that is what you're talking about, jacking that price up so
That
much.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That would get
if
me
it was
to
automatic and
put
instead
on
of
the
just
fancy
these,
clothes.
the films where they know they're going to sell it out. They know they can sell it out because the interest is there. They can sell it out at an exorbitant price because it also has this element.
Well, I think we're talking about what's next beyond the premium pricing of IMAX and premium pricing of 3D, right? I think there's still going to be theaters, drive-in movie theaters on the low end,
Yeah.
right? But on the high end, reserved seating, better lighting, better screen, and then maybe on the high end, live performance.
I don't know. This is getting into the dystopian future that we're barreling towards, where the class system
Yeah.
gets.
Right, and that's something like the film as a medium.
This sounds like something for rich people, is what I'm saying, and they're going to be fewer and fewer, even just middling people.
Yeah, film has been very democratic, not only in the now in the production of it, but in the consumption of it. What you saw, what the richest person got to see on the screen was exactly the same as what anyone who paid $5 got to see on the screen gets to see on the screen. So yeah, I have no idea how this is going to shake out. It's interesting to think about, but there are forces already at work, and you see it in your own home that mean that something's going to change.
Do you see it in your home yet, Norm?
I absolutely do see it in my home. We're going to talk about that real soon. What a wasted segue, because one tangent I want to talk about with Netflix and Bright is Will Smith. Will Smith's.
Yeah.
Do you see this?
All of them. Well, all but one.
All but maybe the most important one in our lives. Several weeks ago, maybe like a couple months ago now, actor Will Smith put a call out on Twitter, on social media via Netflix to promote the movie Bright. He was going to recruit the help of other Will Smiths in the world, and we know Will Smith. We know Will Smith III. This was his moment at Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Will Smith's moment to participate, and he did not participate for one reason or another. I think maybe he'd want to sign his life away to a studio.
Ostensibly, Will Smith, the actor, hired all the Will Smiths around the world.
Hired as
partnered with.
Yeah.
one in every country.
Right.
And then because he didn't want to do a worldwide tour for his recent film, and so all of the other Will Smiths did press for him.
Mm-hmm.
What a novel idea.
Well,
It's a pretty funny gimmick.
our Will Smith lives in the U.S. just like actor Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's
What about the
why.
Bay Area representation?
Right. or Pacifica. Just Pacifica.
So unfortunately, Will, that we know, did not participate.
Yeah.
They brought a Will Smith who had married to a Jada Smith onto, was it Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
I believe, and they might be doing more with this marketing plan, all to promote that movie Bright. So the movie better be good. All right. Before we get to tech, do you want to talk about this Hamilton thing?
I don't know. We all like Hamilton, right?
Yes.
More than Star Wars Episode 8? Yes.
Yes. The
All
answer
right,
is
all right.
answer.
Excellent.
Why I had to think about that? I feel like you were trolling me there.
Well, they had the Hamilton mixtape. They more recently had the Hamilton instrumental album, so you can rap along yourself.
What?
Which is like actually what my son prefers to listen to in the car, and he's an amazing Hamilton performer. That's going to go viral in no time. But this new thing, Hamilton, Lin-Manuel said that he was going to release a second mixtape, Volume 2. But he said, "I can't do it. The first one was too good. We can't live up to that. But I will give you a new song every month for 2018, one at a time." He's calling them Hamil Drops.
A new song.
A new song, like a
Themed.
new, but it's not
It's not Hamilton.
It's not strictly Hamilton. I think they're all going to be done in the style of Hamilton, all historically,
Oh.
something
Oh, anthology.
historically relevant.
I don't know. I have to say,
Wow.
to give an unpopular opinion,
Yeah.
I'm not huge on expanded content.
On what?
Expanded content.
Well, this isn't. It's called Hamil Drops.
I mean,
what if you?
yes, it's called Hamil Drops.
Did you see this past season of Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No.
Do you watch that show? Do you have any
I love that show.
You
You
love
should
that show.
watch the current season.
Oh, Jeremy.
Yeah.
The new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if I should spoil this. I will spoil this so you'll watch
Is
it.
there a Hamilton die-in?
Lin-Manuel
Yeah.
is a reoccurring character.
No kidding.
He has an arc,
He has a story arc.
a serious story arc.
And-
But playing himself, I assume.
Playing
Yes.
a version of himself, which
That's
is
funny.
hilarious. But there is musical in it.
No kidding.
They're original songs.
With rapping.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And
Oh, yes.
performances. So I would say maybe the Hamill drop has already happened.
Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will have to watch that and get back to you. Now, can I play the tech?
Let's
game?
do it.
I'll unmute first.
Oh boy, it is here. It has arrived. I'm never going to go to the movie theater again. Won't feel like I won't have to because we have our new television.
There's one story in our show notes that's in boldface, and this is it.
It says TV, TV, TV. The great TV quest of 2017 is concluded. Arrived yesterday. Danica received it at the house. It is the LG B7. 7 standing for the 2017 model, the B series, which is one below the C series. Same display. And this is basically the same TV Gary got. 65-inch TV, OLED, HDR, Dolby Vision, 4K. Now,
Wow. God, I mean, just a few years ago, the idea of getting OLED was novel, but no way you were getting 4K.
no, we're getting 4K,
And
and
now
now 4K
4K.
HDR.
Yeah. I mean, that's
So-
awesome.
At its best, I would say the let's say the Best Buy experience, right? Like the demo experience of putting Planet Earth 2, your eyeballs are being massaged. Like it looks amazing.
Now, objectively, maybe it's too hard right now because it's so new.
It's glowing and so shiny and new.
But if you were sitting on the couch,
Yep.
do you think you could tell the difference between 4K and 1080p?
Yes,
No problem.
100%. I'm not talking about streaming stuff, just in Blu-ray. I mean, I'm not just talking about Blu-ray. I'm talking about streaming also, like
Like
streaming
4K content.
4K streaming over iTunes or
Yeah.
4K streaming over Netflix looks noticeably different.
Do you find
than
it lends
upscaled 1080?
Do you find it lends itself more to distances, like things that are off in the distance, or
No, things up front.
the whole everything?
Up front, the pilling on the clothes of a shirt, hair
Hair
is so
something.
noticeable, and you can do A/B tests really easily because there's a lot of just HD content that's not 4K, like all the Disney stuff, all the Star Wars films on Netflix are just HD, and you go from that to a TV show shot in 4K to a movie that's 4K, big difference. And then when you go to the next step, and that's something that's HDR, even a bigger difference. I will say though, the setup, the state of the 4K HDR ecosystem is a giant mess. A giant mess.
I know that Netflix supports it with the new Apple TV, I think, but they certainly support it like natively in TVs. I assume that you have that.
Yeah, so just basically even just not only where the content is and what content is available, because there is content available, but the whole setup process.
What do
Right,
you mean setup process?
Like you're not just buying a TV these days. You got to buy a TV if you have a speaker system in your house. You got to buy a receiver. The receiver has to support 4K.
Oh, well,
This
that's
receiver
if
has to support
not
4K
everyone
HDR.
Not everyone uses their receiver as a HDMI switch.
Right. Most people actually TVs right now. I'm actually resorting back to using just the TV as a HDMI switch,
Yeah.
the 4 ports on the TV, because the problem is receivers. They may say, like, if you even go get the Wirecutter recommended one, they may say this is 4K HDR ready. Doesn't mean that all the ports are 4K HDR. Like, it gets to a point where the output, you know how a receiver has one output that goes to your TV? The HDMI ports that are closest to that port are the ones that are going to get the best quality. The ones that are physically further away from the port, you get bad quality.
Okay.
The cables, you need HDMI 2.0 cables. If you want, like, if you were a layman and you were setting up a 4K HDR TV, if you were gifted a 4K HDR TV, and not even OLED, let's just say LED,
Yeah.
LCD, 4K HDR, deciphering through the systems to get your content, to get that Blu-ray you have working, is a giant mess. Let's say you want to play a 4K HDR Blu-ray. What's your player? Let's say Xbox One, right? You plug in your Xbox One X. You plug that in. It's not on by default. Your TV has to enable HDR by default. Your Xbox has to enable it manually. You have to go in through settings to enable it. You have to make sure you have the right cable that goes from the player to the receiver back to the TV. And then there's a difference between HDR10 and Dolby Vision. And there are actually two options. If you have Apple TV plugged into your your 4K HDR TV,
Yeah.
it's not, you don't have necessarily the best quality enabled.
Oh my God.
You may have HDR and it may pop up in the right hand corner of the screen saying HDR is enabled, but you might not be Dolby Vision, and you have to manually set that to 422 encoding as opposed to 420.
I thought this was all supposed to get simpler.
No, it was extremely
Yeah,
complicated.
If not for Norm, it might be like the most stereotypical part of our marriage.
Yeah.
I would not do this. I would not. I would give up. I don't have the patience for it. I don't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
The sad thing is, I think there are a lot of people out there who have bought and who've paid money for what's on the box, right? 4K, UHD, HDR, and probably are not even watching the content. And that some of those people might even just have 1080p content coming in because their Apple TV is set for only 1080 or their Xbox is only set for 1080.
You know, there's a direct parallel. Just like if I had to kill anything I was going to eat, I would not eat anything I'd have to kill. With technology, if I had to set it all up myself and pursue it in such a way, I would just be okay with not having it. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, I think I go with the Zuckerberg route where I want to set it up because then I enjoy it even more.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that.
But it looks great.
It does look great.
It looks great.
Once it's set up properly.
It's beautiful.
I mean, I think that things were supposed to get simpler was my point, and things are not simple at all. Because of where all the inputs and all the things are coming from. This is why I think people want, Apple to make a TV, because it would all just be in one box.
Well, no, it wouldn't. Like, if you have an Apple TV, then you connect it to your TV over an HDMI cable, and that's pretty dead simple. If you...
Then you're getting streaming only.
Yeah, but that's what an Apple TV would do. An Apple TV is not going to have an Xbox built into it. You're still going to have to go through your receiver for that and your cable box if you have that.
Yep. You still do input switching.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's all content, streaming content. So
Now, we have kind of embraced that in our house. Like, we just use Apple TV. Like, that's
Wow.
it. We do have a Blu-ray player, but we just don't watch physical media anymore. It's all Apple TV. We have a PlayStation, but like it all just goes straight into the TV.
You're not using the most out of your 4K HDR TV.
shade,
Why not?
You're not getting the best. You don't want. Does it not bother you
shame,
that you're like? It's like building a gaming PC and not turning anti-aliasing on,
tech shade.
and not turning your texture.
What are you even
enhanced
talking
tech-
about? Why
it's
not?
it's like buying the best gaming PC and not getting your best frame rates.
What are you talking about? I have the Apple TV going into my 4K TV. They're both 4K. It's using the right cable.
There is a noticeable difference between streaming 4K UHD HDR.
Oh, you're saying if not doing physical
and
media.
not doing physical media.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. No, I'm past that. I used to care more, and I just don't. I think that those screenshots that compare different consoles are laughable. I think they are hysterical. Like if you're
The nitpicks.
the nitpicks. It's like you have to be crazy if you care about that level of fidelity, and maybe you're crazy.
The scales on creatures. Do
At some
look
point, if
really
you're
good.
spending like $2,000 on a TV, everything becomes an accessory to the TV, and everything comes in fulfilling its
Right.
potential.
Yeah, no, I get you. No, the AVS forum is
Yeah.
full of people like that.
Oh, I love it.
I love that they exist.
people like you, your people.
There'll be more reporting on the TV experience. But if you have a 4K UHD TV, I'd love to hear about your experiences and what's the best content that you think is out there on 4K HDR disc. People have said Fifth Element is fantastic, and I have that. Planet Earth, I think, is definitely like the system seller.
The new one, is it in 4K?
Planet Earth 4K UHD.
The new Planet Earth.
Yeah, I wish you got to come over and see just that.
Okay.
That is the. I think the first Planet Earth was on. I got it in HD DVD. Was the 1080p seller?
Yeah. All right.
But Planet Earth 2 is the 4K HDR seller.
Okay.
Because it is mind blowing, and the content's great. The story's there. David Attenborough's dulcet tones. Eyeballs massaged.
Mastering aside, I can't believe they found as many interesting things to make a whole nother documentary about.
It's a big world out there.
It's a big world.
Moving on, if you are looking for a set-top box and you are Amazon actually sells Apple TV now. It's sold out.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. There is now the
Amazon,
Amazon app on. It's not great. Amazon Prime Video app on Apple TV and iOS. If you have a Fire TV,
Yep.
you may notice that you don't have YouTube on there because Amazon and Google have been in a spat.
Oh yeah, they're not
Right?
friends.
They're not friends right now. And Google's pulled all of its YouTube content off of Fire TV devices, but there is still a way for you to watch YouTube, and that's if you download Firefox for Fire TV, and you can just use the Firefox browser to browse into YouTube and view it.
I mean, you could always just watch, it's like stream it from your phone, right? Like you just
Cast it.
Cast it.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
All right.
This is an interesting story. Something that I think all of us notice in updating. I think your last phone before you got the 10, iPhone 10 was the 6S, right?
Correct.
And when you updated to iOS 11, you noticed significant slowdowns
On my 6S?
on your 6S.
Yeah, terrible. It was really bad. But I got a caveat. When I restored the phone, did a system restore, it actually fixed a lot of that.
Oh.
But I lost 6 months of text messages because I wasn't properly backed up. Whatever. It's yeah. So I don't know what's going on. I know that there's a story about battery life.
Yeah.
The strength of your battery may actually affect your system performance, not just longevity, but actual performance.
The strength of your battery.
Is that what you're?
No, it's the speed of your processor.
I thought that this was the battery problem.
No, so I mean, there was a battery problem. Phones shutting down. I think Apple had issued a patch to prevent phones from. I think
Right.
some of us, Danica, you had experience where the
Yeah.
phone would just turn off, when you were using it, and that's no good.
No.
Right. But Apple has come out and said they've confirmed, right, that with the new iOS 11, they intentionally throttled down CPU performance on the old phones, and they say
Oh, I see. Okay.
because it's the better to less tax your it's
Right.
to be less taxing on older batteries. They are compensating for the fact that they think that the battery on your 6S is already 2 years
Right.
old and it can't sustain that 1400 megahertz performance on your CPU on the SoC. So it slowed that down so that you're going to get the same battery life that you expected,
Right.
even though everything's going to be clunkier and slower.
And typically for Apple, they know best. They're not giving you a little toggle switch in your settings to do this yourself.
Yep.
No, they are doing it.
I don't know. It sounds like a ploy to get people to throw their phones against a wall to get new phones.
Right. It's not even like it's planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
Even Apple's own, they admit that they're not designing these batteries to perform at peak performance for 2 years. That the state of batteries means that you're not only are going to get worse battery life, you're going to get worse performance in 2 years to a point where you're going to throw your phone against the wall and have to upgrade to a new phone. That's no good.
I just feel like we should be past that.
Yeah.
I can understand the first few generations of phones, but we've had so many now that there should be like computers. They should just work. The new operating system shouldn't be so much more taxing.
It's also such a shitty move to antagonize people purposefully.
Well, yeah. No,
There's that.
Absolutely shitty move.
Yeah, and people are wasteful with their phones. There's a report right now from the United Nations International Telecommunications Union that says that in 2016, 45 million tons of electronics were thrown out. Isn't that crazy? 45 million tons of old electronics were thrown out,
I don't know what that
and
means.
only a fifth of that was recycled. All right, to put it into context, every year, 1 million tons of chargers are thrown away.
Okay.
Just the chargers, the wall warts.
Yeah.
Those small things that weigh an ounce.
I have no concept of what that actually.
1 million
Looks
tons of that are
Cannot even
disposed
imagine.
of. That's how wasteful this electronic cycle of consumerism.
Yep. Okay. But like, how many tons of like milk cartons were recycled, or were not recycled? By the way, milk cartons now
Yeah.
get recycled. They used to go in the compost in San Francisco. Now they're recycled.
Why would that be? Because of the wax, like.
Yeah, and they've improved something.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know, when you get to these big numbers, I don't know how they compare to everything else.
It just seems extremely, extremely wasteful.
That nothing's durable.
Well, that's true. No, absolutely. It's not easy to recycle electronics. They don't make it as easy as everything else. And we have it, like, we're very recycle conscious here in the Bay Area. It's a law. You have to compost, recycle, and landfill. Those are 3 separate containers. Most places in the country.
I'm just
don't
saying
do
as a business practice,
that. But
right?
I wish that e-waste was as easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about chargers alone, right? With every phone, the expectation is that you get a charger, you get a wall wart with your phone.
Yeah.
Is that a reasonable expectation anymore?
Oh, you think like we should assume you have one?
Yeah, or create a standard where this charger could last 5 years or 10 years. You know, USB, this new USB standard that everyone's gonna be using for your USB charger is gonna last 10 years. You buy it once, maybe it's a separate SKU from the phone. The phone is 50 cents cheaper, whatever it costs to make,
Right.
and you don't need to have a new charger in the box.
I think they're so cheap to make that they just get thrown in.
That's the wasteful part.
Well, I hear you, but it would be the people who make the things, they want to ensure that everyone has the capability of using
Yeah.
it. So that it costs them nothing. They include it just to get 100% coverage. Maybe there should be an option to not include it, but I don't see it not being in the box by default.
Yeah. I mean,
The better option with the expectation that, you know, most people, at least in the United States, have phones these days, or there is an excess of chargers, let's say, right? Wouldn't it make more sense for the default for it to not be in the box? And if you needed one, you click a box and then they have a stash and they give you one?
I think you're talking about upcharges or, I mean,
Well, as a free thing, just as
why wouldn't you want to get the free thing if it's free?
that's wasteful.
No, we're in a spiral, a
That's
disaster
wasteful.
spiral environmentally. I don't know if you paid any attention, but yeah, we're basically screwed, and we're not going to deal with it until it's too late.
Well, thank goodness YouTube's here to save the day and make everything
Oh.
better, because
Thanks,
on YouTube right now you can watch vertical video without black bars. Fill your full screen. You can capture your HQ trivia and put it on YouTube.
What does that mean?
So right now if you go to YouTube, you watch a vertical video, it will play only in landscape. It will not play in portrait
You mean on my phone?
on your phone.
It
Yes.
w- okay. I see. So now I can play and it will fill my. It was
will fill
as
your
if
phone.
I was shooting the video.
As if you were shooting the video.
And on the computers, it just looks the same. It just-
Yeah, within the frame of the web browser.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
About time.
It's higher res, right? I mean, it should look better.
Well, if you upload the video, it should. You're right. It should look better because it should render it at, you know, whatever the resolution. The long width is the height of the film,
No, that's good.
right? Because
Good.
previously, if you uploaded a vertical video, it would still max out at 1080p
Yeah.
height, right? And you get the black bars
Yeah.
that they add in. Yeah,
All right.
it's vertical video. I
Does that
know we
mean-
all knocked it early.
Oh, no, we should continue to knock it.
You think so?
Oh yeah. No, it's still not acceptable.
You want to play your HQ trivia landscape?
You don't want to like require a phone to watch a video.
I'm not saying require. I'm saying embrace the format in where people are watching the content. I'm not saying get rid of landscape. No one's saying get rid of landscape.
You like episode 8 and you're in favor of vertical video?
I'm in favor of making the devices play the content the way people are filming it and the way people are consuming it. If you're holding your phone vertically,
Yeah, but you can hold a phone horizontally. That's the problem.
not as ergonomic.
But you can do that.
You can.
You can't do that with
So
your
I
computer.
was saying, would you want HQ trivia to be landscape? Is that what you're saying? I like the
No.
fact that it's a portrait.
What is this weird logic? No, HQ Trivia is a live game you play only
But
on your phone.
but it's video.
Fine, but it's like made for the phone. It's like, do you want your apps?
And there you go. It's made for the phone.
Right.
And a lot of video these days are made with phones
Right.
for phones.
Yeah, but not. YouTube's a platform that's not made for phones.
I'm not saying get rid of landscape. No one's saying get rid of landscape. I'm saying still to not shun the fact that video is shot this way and more importantly, consumed that way. And so as a video as a medium to fit the frame that it's going to be consumed.
So you're already thinking about the next TV we get that has
No.
this.
No. For a living room, landscape's the way to go.
It swivels.
I'm not holding the phone in my hand in portrait orientation. Ergonomically, the reason vertical makes sense is when I'm holding the tablet or the phone in a portrait orientation.
All right, let's start producing all tested videos vertically.
Oh my.
You know, on Facebook, it makes a lot of sense to do vertical video on Facebook because that's what the feed is vertical, and you're actually getting a lot more video real estate when the video is vertical than when it's 16:9.
What?
A 4:3 or a 1:1 video. Instagram's the kind of the happy medium right now. 1:1 video, right? But if you're talking about phones are still mostly used as vertical rectangles. That's how they're going to consume your Facebook feed.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to consume your Instagram feed. So and the photos, if you're looking at a photo on your Facebook feed, it looks better when it fills the screen up more. It's easy to use when it's vertical and they're landscape photos.
Only if
look
you're
great.
browsing on your phone.
And that's how a lot of people are browsing the
Yeah.
content.
That's true.
They're browsing. That's what I'm saying. On Facebook, vertical video
But
makes a lot of
not
sense.
everybody.
Not everybody, but a whole freaking lot of people.
Mobile first.
yeah.
Billion people. 2 billion
Yeah,
people.
enough though to make it standard.
I'm not saying standard. I'm
So
just saying
it's always going to be a
there's a difference between
stepchild of a-
embracing the format and making it the standard
Hmm.
are two different things. I'm just saying let the technology work with how people are using it. Go where the puck is going to go. Go where people are already drawing the puck toward them.
People are shooting vertically by accident.
No, I don't think it's by accident at all.
They're doing it because they don't know any better.
yeah.
No.
It's because
no.
it does. That is how it holds in their hand better, and so they're just doing it. Yeah, it's not.
There you go.
it's
Because
unconscious.
they're holding it in their hand more comfortably that way. And if they're holding it more comfortably that way, why resist that?
This is idiocracy.
Because going wider is better than going taller for almost everything. Like getting more.
Not if you're shooting a video of a person talking. If I'm shooting a video of just you talking, one person talking, FaceTime.
If everything's
Do
too
you,
close
do
up,
you
does it
use
matter?
FaceTime in landscape or in portrait?
Dude, what do you
I don't like to use
You
FaceTime
can't
at
you
all.
got to stop like comparing technologies that only exist on the phone with platforms that are multi-platform.
At some point, the video, it doesn't only exist in the form, but the vast majority of people are using it on that platform.
Well, I do appreciate that, like photography, you can sometimes frame better vertically.
Yep.
I do appreciate that.
Yep.
However, I still think it's an accident.
I'm gonna make a decision, an executive decision,
Oh boy.
to shoot at least one type of content next year in vertical video
I
and test it.
cannot wait to read the comments.
2017,
Cannot wait.
2018. The decision's being made. I think it's a worthwhile experiment to make.
All right.
Do you need
I'm
to
getting on the phone with Joey after
do
this
the gavel
podcast,
or like?
and we're gonna do it.
You-
I'm so curious. I think it's worth testing.
Joey, you're our only hope. Talk him out of it.
Don't be so resistant to change. And speaking of change, how about the change that we can all agree on? We want faster wireless mobile internet connectivity.
Yeah.
And we have 4G, we're 4G LTE, 5G. The logical next step is on the horizon, and it's getting even closer because we have the first 5G spec approved for carriers. And so hardware manufacturers, chipset makers can now start making 5G radios to put in your phones. 5G NR. What NR stands for?
No.
Not
New
really.
Noise reduction?
Not really. There you go.
Oh, that's good. I didn't really
Noise reduction. Yeah, there you go. New radio, 5G new radio. The specs will support low frequency, 600, 700 megahertz to mid-range and high frequency, 50 gigahertz systems. That sound familiar, Jeremy? You might get some high bandwidth HDMI
Yeah, but that
wireless transfer.
the current 50 gigahertz stuff is so narrow, like
Yeah.
in terms of the radius. You know what I mean? You can't be too far away. You
Or
can't
and you can block it.
you can't be behind walls.
Yep, yep.
Is this somehow magically fast and long distance?
No, I'd say it supports it. Just because it supports it doesn't mean that's going to be the standard. So
But
I think it
it's-
mostly in the mid-range.
But the cell service you expect to be a tower to living room, right?
So maybe like the 5G, maybe that's just for tower to tower, right?
Oh, okay.
So it maybe I don't know how they're going to use the 50 gigahertz spectrum, but it'll have like 3.5 gigahertz for most regular use. It'll have the low frequency stuff for the low impact data, but the carriers, the chipset makers, are going to start. They're going to start replacing. Next up, replacing 4G LTE. So
Okay.
that will be very interesting. And maybe the fees will go up. Speaking of fees going up, do you know that Comcast and Dish and Verizon, all your cable fees are going up next year?
Comcast.
Have you cut the cable?
I don't have any of those.
You cut cable.
Yeah, I told you.
You're done.
Netflix only. I mean,
Nice.
Apple TV. Yeah.
YouTube TV is worthwhile if you're interested.
For the live stuff, we
Yeah.
do get the over the air. We put an antenna on our
Right,
roof, and we
right.
get the sweet HD.
Right.
Over
Next year, it's going to look really good for cord cutting, not only because of the wealth of options we have for video on demand and these streaming services, and even live streaming services, but because cable is getting more expensive.
Although
And-
we are living in a world where net neutrality is going to be a bigger issue,
Yep. Yep. The lack of net neutrality.
that honestly could be cable's comeback.
I'm happy to cut that cord. If people in our household did not need to watch HGTV, cut that cord.
You can get HD, as I said, over the air.
HGTV.
Oh,
sorry.
HG.
Not HDTV. HGTV.
Okay.
Yeah. Need to cut that cord.
I don't know if you cut it. Yeah, I mean, Danica, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. The net neutrality thing might affect any kind of TV. You know, if it's all moving to the internet.
No, again,
anyway.
we're all screwed. It's a spiral.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everything
I
is
see.
a spiral of doom.
I'm just trying to find the best way out of this doom.
Do you think Apple will ever go back to Touch ID, or you think Face ID is the way of the future?
They've backpedaled before,
You think this big of a backpedal?
possibly.
Really?
I mean, I don't understand the fanboys about Face ID.
I hate it. For the record, I hate it. I
Face
hate
ID?
it so much. I hate it so much because I oftentimes need to navigate his phone,
Yeah.
and I can't with any great ease because of Face ID.
Yeah.
It's obnoxious. Like they,
Would that concept be solved if Face ID as an implementation enabled multi-user?
that would be better. But why can they not do it in tandem, where you can still store thumbprints, but also?
No, they want one or the other.
Well,
They-
I want both because your phone's obnoxious.
They're not going to give you both, but one of the questions of whether Face ID, one of the reasons Face ID was such a mandate, if you hear about interviews with Apple executives, is because they wanted that full screen on the iPhone 10, right?
Yeah.
And there was no way they didn't want to put a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. So if they were the back pedal, they would either have to put a fingerprint sensor on a Touch ID sensor on the back of the phone, or find a way to put a fingerprint sensor underneath the screen of the phone and have it still work. And that is a technology that is apparently becoming very real. There is on a Synaptics, the touchpad maker, has an in-display fingerprint reader with an image sensor that's super thin and that reads through an OLED display. Now, Vivo is a phone maker that will have the first phone using this fingerprint sensor and under the screen, seamlessly under the screen technology. And they're actually, I think they're a parent company of OnePlus. And so the OnePlus phones may also get this in the near future, the Oppo phones as well. They share the same parent company. But this could be a big differentiating factor. If Face ID does not get better, and I hope it'll get better, faster, more reliable, maybe more versatile. But if the users really rebel against Face ID, and really embrace Touch ID, Android may have a leg up with these full screen phones that have fingerprint sensors underneath the screen.
And a headphone jack.
And that's not coming back.
You see, I replaced our garbage disposal the other day because I'm really into home maintenance. No, I'm really proud of myself for doing this because I'm not as into home maintenance as I should be. But doing this using my phone as the manual became a chore because I had to put the phone on the floor as I was working, and I needed to keep it on. And now, obviously, I could have gone into the settings and said, please stay on, don't turn off for X amount of minutes. But it kept shutting down because the iPhone 10 does that quickly, so it doesn't get burn in because the screen's sensitive.
Yeah.
So I kept having to turn it on, but I couldn't just tap it, I just wanted to put my finger on the thing and have it turn back on, and it wouldn't do every time I
to
had
grab
to
it.
like lift it up
Yeah.
so it could see me. And a couple times it's okay, but it became so annoying. That's the
Yeah.
first time I've really been truly annoyed by Face ID. Normally under normal conditions it's fine for unlocking the phone, but now and then you give it to a kid or something like that, or as you said, like just someone else who should have access to it, it becomes a pain in the butt.
I think Apple will not go back on it.
Yeah, they may have committed to it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's cheaper, Face ID,
What do you mean cheaper?
than Touch ID. I don't know anything about the sensor technology versus the IR technology, but it just seems to me that IR seems cheaper.
Well, less prone to failure because the moving button it's one of the reasons they got rid of the physical home
Yeah.
button was it was cheaper to repair and it would be less prone to breaking. But I think as we've talked about, Face ID, like the underlying technology of IR sensing your face and depth mapping your face, has more legs in what we think Apple wants to do in the future,
Right.
which is depth map the world and scan the world. So if they're investing in more accurate, better Face ID, they're actually
Yeah.
investing also in their AR technologies.
And if
as
that could
well.
be a wider field of view,
Yeah.
If the phone could see me while it was lying down,
Yep.
I wouldn't have had that problem. So maybe that's just a matter of time.
Right,
too.
and that's just math, right? If you're thinking about like in terms of the dot chart, the dot spread, if you look at IR video light of what that dot spread looks like, it's pretty wide. It's not like 180 degrees, but it's much bigger than like your 90 degrees, for example. But then the IR camera has its own lens, right? It's a wide field of view lens, and that needs to be wider. But they also, if your face is off axis, they need to compensate for that. So it needs to really map and be able to recognize with the dot projector off-axis face recognition. And I don't know if they can do that. But again, with machine learning, and this is something that will hopefully get better over time, maybe they can. Off-axis, phone flat on the table, not having it right in front of you, that's my next wish for Face ID to unlock.
You wanted the front-facing IR spread too. I mean
The world-facing.
the world-facing.
World-
Sorry,
yeah.
exactly right. World-facing just for better fake bokeh.
For depth mapping
Yeah.
for portrait mode.
Depth of field stuff.
Yep. And I really hope that comes next year. Speaking of augmented reality, we're not even saving this for the VR minute, but we have our very first look. This is it, an exclusive to Rolling Stone magazine.
Oh, I didn't know that. They got the exclusive?
Yeah, it is. Here we go.
Uh-huh.
Magic Leap. What the Magic Leap virtual reality augmented reality goggles will look like. What do you think?
I think they look much better than I expected.
Really?
Yeah.
It looked photoshopped on this person.
Oh, well, I mean, look at VR headsets right now. Ugh. They're like big bricks on your face. They look horrible. No, there's not a single good-looking VR headset out there. The AR stuff has just been... How are you going to do good-looking AR? The stuff that we've seen so far hasn't been much better than VR headsets. They're just big old honking things on the front. This is the first step towards glasses. Now, they're not the glasses. They're not,
I need Danica to look at this.
they're not Ray-Bans.
Danica,
Yes.
will you accept me if I wear these? Whoa!
Oh, no.
Oh my god.
Take a look at look at Jeremy's screen
I don't have it up here yet. There it is.
and
Well,
can't you pinch the zoom on that?
is there not like a
There,
good...
the picture was, it's in the video.
This?
There you go. Yeah, that's the best picture right there. Look on Jeremy's screen.
They look like early Cyclops glasses.
If I wore that on a regular basis,
No, dude, it's not a regular basis.
at home, let's say at home.
First of all, like, you're gonna freak Ripley out.
Are you committing? You're going AR regular basis?
I want to see what life is like interfacing with the digital world.
Yeah, no, I would not be into this at all.
Oh my goodness.
I know they needed to have cameras in there.
If you
They
would
needed to have
test
the
it, if you
optics.
needed to test for a short amount of time, I could be down for that.
That's funny.
But
you,
no, that's not the man I married.
you can't wait. You could at least see his eyes. Geordie LaForge, you couldn't even see his eyes. I don't think they look that bad. I mean, given that all the technology has to be in there, I wasn't expecting something this small. Now, granted, there's a thing that you wear on your waist.
Right. There's a oh.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
it's time.
it's time for HQ trivia. You just got your twice the notification. There's a thing in I think it's to the left that it looks like there's a USB plug, but there's a computing processor,
Little puck.
a puck that you have to wear as well, and then there's a wand remote control, a motion tracker, tracked controller with a touchpad. I'm not excited about this design, and I think I'm excited about this technology.
This is so weird. Why? Yeah.
I'm 100% excited about the technology. I can't wait to use this.
What did you want?
Give it to now. Something a little sleeker.
Like, what? This is super sleek. This is totally contoured. It's, I mean, what do you want? Ray-Bans? Like something like really thin and light? You can't fit the technology into that.
I don't know if I wanted something more angular or something that went full embracing the goggles. I don't like.
Like ski goggles?
Yeah.
Oh. Something crazy like that.
Ready Player One. They
This
look like ski
kind of
goggles.
looks like I don't know. Whatever. I'm excited that they finally have announced something.
And shown something.
What they say, early next year?
Is that what it said? Early? I don't know if early.
But next year.
Next year.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be vaporware. If you watch the Rolling Stone video,
Yeah.
they actually have glimpses. I think this is probably the first time we've seen glimpses of the prototypes as well of the Magic Leap, and I think they had to show how clunky the prototypes were in order to make
To get
this
you
one
excited about the sleekness,
the sleek
by
silver
contrast.
mixed reality, augmented reality glasses. There's also some interesting insights into how they made this light field display. right? And how they got it so small. And what was the breakthrough in the light field? So they're calling the device Lightwear, the computer LightPack, and it has a light field display. Let me see if I can dig up. Basically, instead of needing to do a full light field display, they feel like there are certain aspects they could cheat it, and it would require much less processing, and they could actually then embed it into the optical silicon. Will still remain to be seen.
Yeah, big time.
But
I mean, I have not been impressed by any AR yet. It's also narrow. Like what people want, or what everyone who doesn't follow this stuff is going to expect, is that it just fills your vision. It's that it's edge to edge on this, the lens of the glasses, and it probably isn't. And I don't know how opaque the images can be, but hopefully they're pretty good. Hopefully the tracking is going to be as good as it is on HoloLens, but that also remains to be seen. But that's the kind of, people are going to expect perfection, unfortunately, because they don't have anything to compare AR to, besides maybe Jedi Challenges.
They have an internal price. Want to make any guesses? They're saying that pre-order and pricing will come together, and the only hint that their CEO said was that they are more than a premium computing system. They are more of a premium, wait for it, artisanal computer.
Oh, Jesus.
What is a premium artisanal computer going to cost us?
So is that like $4,500?
I'm
$6,000?
thinking $2,000.
What is HoloLens?
HoloLens was I want to say was $1,000. They remember HoloLens. They specifically made it really expensive so that it would not be for consumers. That would only be for businesses, and it would not get panned in the consumer space because it was not aimed for that. So this is very much a consumer. Looks like consumer designed for a consumer device.
But only people who can afford going to the movies in the future.
HoloLens was $3,000. So you think this will be up there at $3,000?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
What happens early next year is the company plans to open up a creator portal and deliver access to its software development kit. So anybody will be able to develop for it. I don't know if that means you get an actual SDK, like you can actually develop on the hardware. But maybe they'll be going out as early next year to developers.
Oh, they want to ship in 2018.
So do you want this?
Yes.
The
answer
don't know
is yes.
That. You want to try it.
You want to try it.
Oh yeah, I want to try it. I don't know if I want to spend $2,000 to own it.
And then your lifestyle would be to wear it all the time?
In the testing, absolutely. Shooting vertical video.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, it really is like the unicorn of augmented reality, because it has been in development for so long, and there's been so much money, billions of dollars poured into it by big name investors who reportedly have seen it and must invest in it. But does it live up to that? I don't know. Well, I can't wait to try it just because of its reputation.
And all the Pokemon you can catch everywhere.
Oh, you're just talking generally about why would you want AR?
Just in general, this doesn't seem like an attractive. I don't like to have things on my head.
Yeah.
So maybe I've been burned by VR headsets that hurt and pull and etc. But I don't know.
Until they're Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
Wait till they're Ray-Bans. Well, if you don't like things in your head, you're not going to like the last tech product we're going to talk about. These are more goggles, but at a fraction of the price. Fat Shark, the maker of eyewear for FPV drone flying. These are displays, goggles that have displays in them that can connect to HDMI feeds and connect to analog signals, video signals.
Not like a VR surrounding image, more like a TV in front of you.
Exactly. With no head tracking. Now they have a all-in-one system called the Fat Shark 101. If you want to get into FPV drone flying, this includes includes the transmitter, the TX, and includes a pair of goggles for $250.
Well, it looks like a shark.
Yeah, Tested Zone. Terry Dunn has an early sample of this, and he wrote up his experiences on the site. He likes them. They're not super powerful, but if you want to learn and you want to fly some FPV quads, this might be an easy all-in-one package to get in. And after he's done with it, he's going to send it over to our office so we can test it out as well.
I want to try that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Can't wait to try it. I think that does it for technology news. Before we move on to our next segment, I also want to thank the other sponsor of this week's episode, and that is Cyber Systems. How many of you still use the same password for everything? Reusing passwords is the easiest way to have your data and identity stolen, and letting browsers auto-save your login just isn't secure enough in this day and age. Thankfully, there is a more secure and convenient solution. Use RoboForm from Cybersystem to store and generate strong, unique passwords right in your browser or mobile device. Now, all you need to remember is one RoboForm master password. It's really that easy. With RoboForm, you have the right password with just a click away on a secure online vault, and it'll even fill out long checkout forms. Their password manager is available for individuals, families, and businesses, and supports all major desktop and mobile platforms. Just go to roboform.com and download today, or you can check the app out in iOS or Android. And for a limited time only, you get $10 off RoboForm Everywhere subscription when you use the promo code TEST, T-E-S-T. Simplify and secure your online journey today with RoboForm Password Manager.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
All right, a bunch of stuff happening in VR.
That's true.
Yeah.
Including the Magic Leap.
Including the, oh, it's AR.
I know. Oh, this is the VR Minute.
This is the VR
Okay,
Minute.
fine.
Well, we can sometimes talk about AR in there. An announcement from our friends at Big Screen VR this week. Big Screen is an app, a free app that lets you mirror your desktop in a virtual space and also hang out with friends in virtual spaces.
And watch movies.
And watch movies or YouTube videos together in a variety of campfire environments, in virtual living rooms or movie theaters. And this week they announced they have partnered with a movie studio to do a movie showing in VR. This is, I think, is super interesting. I don't know if it's gonna like latch on and be a thing that people do, but just the concept of it, I think, is interesting. So what's gonna happen?
Don't you think it will latch on? Don't you think this will be a thing?
I hope so.
All right.
I hope so. So they have a new feature in Big Screen that lets like dozens of people be together in the same room.
Right. Previously, Big Screen was limited to 4 people.
And that was because it was a P2P
Yeah.
service where you have, I would be the host, and my upstream data would let you connect to me, and I get to stream my YouTube or whatever on my web browser, or you
Right.
get to stream your web browser. Now they're doing a server to client side, and so you can have dozens of people in a large movie theater. And they've even built out a virtual lobby where people can gather and chat beforehand. And you literally see down the hall of the virtual lobby, you see the showing time at this time. It's not on demand.
Yeah.
It's like at 7 p.m. On December 29th, they're going to be playing Top Gun in VR in 3D.
Top Gun 3D.
Top Gun 3D.
Which I never saw.
And you follow the leader. You all pile in. You watch a couple of trailers from Paramount Films. And for free, at least for this showing, they're doing 2 showings on the 29th and the 30th. You and dozens of other people in this room will get to watch Top Gun together.
Dozens.
And then they can do hundreds of instances of these rooms. So their goal is to get
Right.
thousands of people watching at this time, and afterward they can jump back in the lobby and chat and talk about the movie.
And can you sync up with friends, do you think, and get into the same theater?
Yes, I think they're gonna allow you to group up,
Yeah.
and then you would sit next to each other.
Nice.
You sit next to each other, and so a lot of the questions I had was like, what happens with like trolling, right?
Yeah.
Like if you get 40 people in a virtual environment, someone can like screw with their lighthouse sensors or to make them look like they're flying right in front of the screen or something, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's has a troll box around them. Like if you move outside your little cage,
Yeah.
you disappear outside the seat of your cage.
So you can't harass.
You can't harass
other moviegoers.
I can't get right in your face. I can't block your vision because you
Gotcha.
only appear within
I see.
this cube where your seat is.
Okay.
And audio wise, you only can whisper like low volume with people who are directly to your left or your right.
So anything I say is reduced to a whisper?
Reduced to a whisper
What?
to your
That's
left
weird.
and your right.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I can whisper.
You should. Well, they can't promise that because some people might be loud.
But that's true of any. You can't just make the real world go away entirely.
Right. And I don't know if they have the ability to say, I want to move my seat, or I want to tell this
Yeah.
person next to me to mute them and make
Right.
them disappear.
Yeah.
But they want to encourage some type of social. What does it mean to get dozens of people in one room, and then across multiple hundreds of other rooms, thousands of people, to have a scheduled event of watching a movie?
I love this idea. I love this idea. First of all, I hate going to the movie theater. And
We talked about the movie theaters
Right.
are dying.
Well, that's true. But I wonder if I'll like this as much as I think I will. I don't know, because I don't like distractions in films.
But the other question is, how do people have their VR setups? Right now, I have a standing desk,
Yeah.
and I'm wearing my headset standing up, and I'm not comfortable standing up for 2 hours just folding my arms watching Top Gun in 3D. I would want to do it on the couch. And they don't have it as of right now for, like,
What do you mean?
Oculus Go is not out yet. This would be perfect.
Oh, just where are you sitting?
Yeah.
Because in the game, you are latched to a seat.
you are
you are
seated.
locked
Yeah,
down.
so you
Like,
want to pull up a chair and sit down.
It's not a game where you can walk around in game.
But let's say you pull up your office chair. As ergonomic and comfortable as your office chair is,
Yeah.
it's not as comfortable as like a
Yeah.
reclining seat in a theater.
Yeah.
So when this is mobile, when Oculus Go comes
Perfect
out,
for Oculus Go.
right? And then you can put this on in your living room couch or your recliner chair and put it on and then join a movie experience. That, I think, would be more comfortable than, for 2 hours potentially. In terms of the content, Top Gun, I think, is a smart way to go. Classic movie.
You love that movie, right?
That's fantastic.
This is Top Gun in 3D, and I got to demo it a little bit to watch it.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
Top Gun. I mean, like, the pixel density is going to be as best as you're going to get in today's VR headset and
Right.
Rift or Revive.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be as clear as a 1080p TV in a 70-inch or projector, right, in your room, or it's not 4K quality. But the 3D is so seamless.
It was one of the first 3D conversions, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because you're already bought into the depth of the virtual theater room.
Yeah.
The 3D of the movie just is 3D. It fills your full quote unquote field of view.
Yeah. Well, the problem with some 3D films, even in the best technology in theaters, is that you get a little bit of crossover. Like
Yeah.
you get a little bit of the left image in your
Yeah.
right eye, even if it's faint.
And you're reducing your field of view because you're wearing 3D glasses. Here, your reduced field of view is your world.
yeah.
So you don't have glasses on top of glasses.
Yeah.
You're just already, I know this is my 100-degree FOV that I'm wearing my headset in, and the movie just looks like it's popping out.
So when is the showing?
December 29th and 30th. They're
Okay.
doing 2 showings, and I'm going to try it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds really interesting. Like an experience to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, can they handle the rush?
The bandwidth.
Because there'll be
Yeah.
maybe 1,000 people want to watch this. I don't know.
At least, hopefully more.
But I'm saying if it's just dozens per server, can
Right.
they,
Oh, that's. I mean, AWS. You just scale up.
Oh,
I think
okay.
their
No
only limitation is how many people they want to put in a room together.
Yeah.
Because even though I can't want people to hear you, the animations still need to be moved across. In addition to the film being streamed.
Yeah.
Right. This is just like a side by side 1080p. I think version of the film.
Super cool.
If it bodes well, going forward, like, would people want to pay to watch films in VR? Showtimes.
It's funny. I mean, like if you think about it, there's no reason everybody couldn't have the best seat in the house. But
True.
does that break the fantasy?
Yeah.
Does that break the realism?
Right.
I mean,
right.
if you had a theater with only enough seats for everybody who was invited, you get a bad seat. I don't know. It's
I
weird.
think they scaled up the virtual theater so like the 40 or so seats
Yeah.
are all centered, clustered.
Okay.
And they populate the bad
Oh,
seats
with
with NPCs.
Oh, that's a
Which
good idea.
makes sense. But
Yeah.
I have to believe there's going to be value in going to a movie theater and having the shared experience of looking at a screen and yelling at people to shut up and to turn off their phones. And there's no substitute for that.
People are already using this to watch Twitch streams together, right? So why not make that an official thing, eventize it, right? You know how BlizzCon, people pay to stream BlizzCon tournament games at home during BlizzCon. If they partnered with a company like Big Screen and you paid the BlizzCon ticket, but you got to watch it in VR in a virtual theater, your live event, right? It's like the Fathom events thing, but done in VR. We don't have to leave the home.
So do you think that because you don't have to leave the home, it eventually catches on and replaces?
I don't think it'll replace theater, but it's gonna be it might replace like being on a computer and trying to watch Netflix together with someone across the country from you.
It does conjure this image of a really sad-looking person sitting on the couch alone,
Smiling.
with their headset
Smiling.
on,
Neglecting
talking
their
to
say, children or
fantas-
their
yeah,
dog
right.
or their significant other.
neglecting the real world, like
Yeah.
being isolated. But then, like, you have this other side of the coin where if you see that sad person and then you put on a headset yourself and you go where they are, suddenly you realize it's actually kind of utopian and amazing. Then it's just like, well, what's more important,
Ready Player One.
your experience of life or the real world? You
Big
know?
themes.
Yeah.
As long as it supports good
I'm not
story.
into the idea of becoming a shut-in, like just a society of shut-ins.
There are plenty of people, I think, who would be happy to use that as a way to complement their experiences.
Yeah, I having the option, having the experience, I think that there's value in it. But yeah, I would hate to think that something like that would absolutely replace the movie theater experience and getting out in the world and getting mall food before a movie or after a movie and
Well,
going to a bar after a movie.
I think one of the most compelling things about Ready Player One was people did embrace that because of this inequality problem.
right
Like, it's all they could afford.
after the dystopian
Yeah,
fall,
yeah.
which we're headed for.
Exactly.
So yeah.
You know, one experience I really want to try out, and this will require leaving the house to then put on a VR headset, is Star Wars Secrets of the Empire. This is the location-based VR experience where you go to a place. Right now it's at Disneyland in the, I believe it, downtown Disney,
What?
where you go to Disney, Anaheim, and you buy your ticket and you spend, I don't know, is it 10 minutes or so in VR, wearing a backpack, and I believe the storyline is you are a stormtrooper undercover, and it is totally location-based, interactive. The walls are there, and they're expanding to 2 locations. They're going to be in Glendale in Southern California, and also going to Vegas, and that will be in early 2018.
Come on. We got to go down to Anaheim and try this ASAP.
ASAP.
Yeah.
You know, this is also, it was developed in partnership with The Void and ILM X Lab. And ILM X Lab is local in San Francisco. So, you know, I might reach out to them and see if we could, if they have a version of it that we could even
I
try
doubt
on
it.
site.
I doubt that.
Interesting.
Because it's physical. Like,
Yeah.
they don't just have the space for that.
So it's expensive. You know, The Void has the Ghostbuster experience they have at
Yeah.
Madame Tussauds in New
Mhm.
York,
Yeah.
which I didn't get a chance to try last time. I
How
was
much
there.
is it?
$30. $30 a ticket. Yeah, for
10 minutes.
it's a, you know, 10, 15 minutes, I think. I don't know exactly
Wow.
how long, but it's short.
It costs $100 to get into Disneyland for the whole day?
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
Oh boy. Oh, I have a question.
Future's expensive.
Is there already been a term coined for like phubbing? Is ignoring somebody with your phone? So is there a term that corresponds with being ignored for VR?
Huh. What do you mean? Like, if you would be ignored if I had a headset on right
like
now?
you've heard of phubbing?
No.
So it's when you're basically socially snubbing somebody and just you're on your phone, like at dinner
Okay.
or like wherever.
Right.
So there has to be a corresponding term for VR.
I guess that, I don't know. I'm all ears. It would be unintentional sometimes, right? If you have a headset
If
on.
you have a headset on, it's all pretty intentional that you're not paying attention to the.
Yeah, but you don't know when someone walks in the room. With the phone, your peripheral vision at least keeps you aware of that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something about the location and experience. When we chatted with Nomadic VR, right?
Yep.
And their location-based VR company, it's being developed here in the Bay Area. One of the questions after going through their demo that they asked us is, did you miss not having your hands? Because they had tracked, they didn't have track controllers, but they had like
What
a
a
track
question.
gun.
Yeah.
Right. And once you picked up the gun, I did not miss not having my hands.
But the
because
you have the flashlight, right?
Right,
when
you do have the
walk in?
flashlight, right?
Yeah.
So you have some spatial awareness of like where your hands are to touch the walls and touch the railings, but you don't actually see your hands. Secrets of the Empire, what the Void did, you do get to see your hands. I think they felt like that it was important, so they use a Leap Motion,
Yeah.
a Leap Motion system,
Like literally, they use Leap?
Leap Motion,
Huh.
yeah, plugged in the headset and looking at your hands.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons I really want to try this, is because it is location-based track environment, mapped world environment,
Yeah.
but also tracked hands, real hand presence, you know, without doing like the Manus VR type gloves. And I'm really, really curious.
Maybe if tested can find $60 under the couch, we can go try this.
Well, you also need to be down in LA for some reason.
Yeah.
Anaheim and Glendale.
Well,
Yeah. Vegas will probably be the best way to experience it without having to wait in long lines.
all right.
Yeah, so maybe a Vegas trip is in order. In the world of Oculus and Facebook, Facebook Spaces has been out for a little while now. This is the VR app that lets you be in VR, interact socially with other people, but also lets you interact with people on computer screens as well. So if someone's using Facebook Messenger, they can actually open a video chat where they see you in VR. And they see you holding up like a selfie stick or at a window into the VR world, and they see the FaceTime style messenger video.
It seemed to be developed more of like how to have conferences, how to have meetings in virtual reality.
Yeah, definitely a social
Absolutely.
application. And now they've opened up to Steam VR to Vive users.
This is just like worlds colliding.
Yeah,
Facebook.
This is an Oculus software. Oculus Home is not Steam VR compatible officially yet, and they've hinted they were going to open up potentially, but this is maybe the first step. The Facebook developed app wants more users, and they want to get those hundreds of thousands of Steam VR users.
It just makes me wonder. It makes me wonder, where is this mandate that Oculus Home be strictly Rift come from? Maybe it's not coming from Facebook. Maybe that's an Oculus design,
And maybe
idea.
they're way more confident in their hardware now, because maybe making Home exclusive and having the quote-unquote killer VR apps on their platform was important when the headsets were $600 plus $200, and now the Rift is $380.
Depending on the day.
Yeah, right. I think today it's $380 today. Sometimes it was as low as $350.
Yeah.
Ridiculous price, right? Knowing that a year ago it was $800. So maybe they're more confident in the hardware and how many users they have. So if you have Steam VR, I think it's worth trying.
If it's a sign of things to come, I think it's great.
Something that's also worth trying. The new Oculus Home update, the Core 2.0 update that came out last week, or 2 weeks ago now, allows people to import things from their web browser into VR spaces. So one of the applications that we thought would be really cool is if you're sculpting in VR, for example, you're like you in Oculus Medium or another one of those VR sculpting tools, and you pull in a reference. You use your web browser, you pull a picture or a video that you can freeze frame, and you can then sculpt it as a visual reference. Totally a logical way to integrate this Oculus Core with an app. Someone has now done and used the opposite and used Oculus Core to bring in their 3D modeling program or their art program like Photoshop, and sat in virtual environments and use the virtual environment as the reference to draw it out in Photoshop in their digital platform.
What?
I know you could just take a screenshot, but that's not the point.
Wait, I don't understand. They got into VR.
So let's say the example they did was they use it with AirCar. So let's say what's the Lone Echo, beautiful VR environment.
Yeah.
I want to draw this space station.
Okay.
I want to sit here in my virtual body in the game. I'm going to sit here.
Yeah.
And then I pull up Oculus Core and I pull up Photoshop in my hands. I'm holding my pen, my stylus, my Wacom stylus.
You're all in VR.
And you're all in VR. You still have the headset on.
Right.
And I'm just sitting here, and then I'm drawing out.
Yeah.
And I can see what I'm drawing because of Oculus Core.
Yes.
Because of the picture-in-picture, because of the window.
That's what you're telling me they did?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Really novel. I mean, I don't think it's a really novel way to interact with your VR environment. And I think this is almost like virtual tourism.
Okay.
Right? Like if you're in Google Earth VR.
Yeah.
As opposed to going to the Grand Canyon and drawing out the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
You could Google Earth VR, fly there, sit on the edge of the Grand Canyon,
draw it,
and enjoy it, and then get inspiration and paint a painting.
That's true. Yeah, why not? Any kind of art class could be, how to paint nudes. You could go to a class and have someone sit down in front of you and learn how to draw.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could do it with video. You could do it with rendered objects. A lot of the environments that we see in VR experiences are gorgeous. And now you can do more with it. Just be there.
I think the interesting thing about that is the Wacom tablet. Like the fact that that interface works perfectly still just as it is.
Right. Because you can position that window anywhere.
Yeah.
And you get the one-to-one, with low to no latency.
Yeah. That's super cool. By the way, you mentioned Echo Arena, Lone Echo. Echo Arena has a holiday update now. It's limited time. It started, I want to say yesterday. It's going to go through the new year. It's a Christmas festival inside Echo Arena. If you haven't been in there in a while, go check it out. There's presents
A Christmas festival?
everywhere.
Like Dickens Fair?
Nah, I mean, no. It's more just like
No meat pies?
there's presents everywhere.
Oh.
And like lights and snow.
Garland,
Yeah.
sparkly stuff.
You know how World of Warcraft decorates for
No.
Christmas? Did you never play WoW?
No.
Well, it's the same kind of deal. It's just nice to see it skinned.
Hmm.
And those artists that work there, they're talented people. I'm telling you, their textures are so awesome. You can walk right up to that stuff. It looks good. Ready?
I think that's it. Let's go to our last segment.
Testing this week. Hey, what have you guys been testing?
Jeremy, anything you've been testing lately?
Nothing comes to mind, although I'm sure it's out there. What about you?
Talking about new TV, new receiver,
Yeah.
Xbox One X. Still paid for an Xbox One X, and I'm not going to play any games on it, basically. It's just going to be a 4K HDR Blu-ray player. Although I'm open to ideas, if there's something that looks amazing that I need to play. Something we'll be talking about on projections this week, TPcast, as I've been testing lately. This is the wireless add-on for the HTC Vive. Now, they just shipped one for the Rift, and it's a little bit clunky in terms of the setup, but when it works, it works. And
You've been playing it on the Vive.
on the Vive.
Yeah.
Set it up in an empty room, and not having cables. I know we all have like cable sense now for feet and dancing around.
Yeah.
But I have never been lost in VR as much as I've been with using TPcast.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that is really exciting.
Like, I don't know what, if you ask me, especially with the deluxe audio headset, with the audio perfectly on, headset perfectly on, being in a game like, LA Noire, VR files, case files, after an hour, I don't know which side is up and down. I am truly in that world. It's not perfectly tetherless because it's tethered to the battery that you have to put on your belt or your pocket or something. But your feet feel completely liberated.
Are there any visual or auditory compromises?
There are, in terms of both, actually. Audio-wise, the microphone doesn't work, so you can't do microphone feedback. The video on the camera doesn't work.
Oh, no, I just mean in terms of like the res of the game.
Oh, no, everything's great. Now,
Controller latency?
no control
No problem.
latency. Not for me. Yeah. Visual fidelity, you do see some artifacting if you obscure. So it doesn't just cut off. It degrades a little bit before it goes completely blank signal. And positioning of the transmitter is extremely important.
Do you notice any compression artifacts from the video?
I do when there's occlusion.
But normally it's high enough bitrate.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Expensive.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about if you have the space and you can actually make use of it, in its early days, if you had $800 invested in VR before and you want to get more out of it, it might be worth it.
There you go.
And I think that does it this week for This Is Only a Test. We'll be back next week, crossing our fingers for one final episode for 2017 before we bring in the new year. Thanks so much, Danica, for joining us
My
this
pleasure.
week.
Have you not been testing anything?
I made 18 dozen pizzelles yesterday, so I guess I tested a pizzelle maker.
What's a pizzelle?
It's a cookie.
Like a little cookie?
Yeah, like I have a variety here.
What do you mean a pizzelle
So-
maker? You mean an oven?
No, it looks like it's almost
Oh my
like
gosh.
a waffle maker,
Like a little wafer.
but like they're all different flavors.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like this is red velvet. I did Meyer lemon, mint dark chocolate, which is what Norm wanted, and I was trying root beer. I'll tell you the thing.
Is that like a root beer flavor that you
Well,
have
they call it an extract, but
Yeah,
what
right.
I learned about it is it's much like mixing resin. If you add a lot of tint to resin, you get resin that doesn't fully cure. It's a lot softer.
Yeah.
Same thing with cookies. Like I want to add more root beer extract to get more root beer flavor.
Right, but it's
but
a
then the cookie doesn't get as crisp.
tricky balance.
Yeah. So I'm experimenting.
You made some amazing Jello shots, which for your party, which I haven't had a Jello shot since like '95.
Yeah, they were butter beer Jello shots. They were good. They were really good.
With sugar on top.
They were gold sprinkles.
Amazing. Highly approved.
It's a good time.
I think that's it. Do we have an outro?
Yes, by No Mo's. Did
All
I
right.
mute again?
Hi there, I didn't see you.
There should be an override. I want this app to override the mute settings.
That'd be dangerous.
That is so dangerous.
So dangerous.
I think that's Zach's first appearance in an outro.
Congratulations, Zach. Bye.